Hello, Luca.
listeners. Hello, hello, Luca. Yes, we have to mirror our names today. And I want to say, first of all, hello to everybody that is listening now. We are on this new episode of The Node, the podcast edited by Decision Science Alliance in its editorial initiative, IDA. And as many of you already no, every time we meet a character such as the one we meet today, I'm very happy to say that I've met this person many years ago, but we had a continuous collaboration among several arguments and themes, not just on about journalism, and but also in art. And I consider Luca Melchionna here today as to be one of the most interesting characters in terms of understanding the reality of technology and the impact of technology about culture. And today he's here with us as a Machineria founder. But I want him to explain exactly what Machineria is and why not to give us more hints about his character today. Hello, Luca.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's really a pleasure. So how do you define yourself and what's Machinery about?
Well, Machineria is a small company. Well, it's becoming less small than it used to be because we have recently been acquired by a bigger group. I'll tell more about that later. We're based in Trento, a small town in northern Italy, and we are a company about bridging between museums, content, and technology. But the point really is not technology in itself, it's telling stories. We have found a gap, I think, between the magical content that is being produced all the time by cultural institution and getting projects, delivering projects. So what we do is basically trying to close this bridge, and by using technology, but also audience development and processes like cooperation with communities, trying to find the way to bring the best stories available inside cultural institution to a wider audience. We've been there for 5 years, so we're quite young still, but we have had the opportunity and luck to work for some really important clients, such as the Colosseum Park, Archaeological Park, Pompeii, and then museums such as Palazzo Ducale in Mantova, the Triennale Museum in Milan, but also for very small centers such as a science museum in Morbegno in Lombardy, and we really do not differentiate. We are a research company too, and when the real project kicks in, and we find that there is space for experimentation, it doesn't matter if it's a big or a small project.
Oh, it sounds so interesting to me, the relationship between storytelling, cultural heritage, and technology. How do you solve this puzzle? Because it looks like really a complex mechanism here, right?
Well, we don't really solve it all the time. that's part of the use. When we do solve it, it's usually because of an understanding of what the real motivation, the real mission is in a cultural institution. This happened, for instance, last year when we were entrusted with a project by the Puglia region. The project itself was about making accessible the heritage of some military outposts, which were scattered along the region. And the real puzzle there was understanding who the audiences were. That was really hard because on the one hand, you have the people who are on the beaches, very close to these military outposts, but they were not going to visit them anyway. And on the other hand, you had cultural tourists who were going to really had the motivation to go to these places, And the big question was, how do you communicate to these audiences which are one the opposite of the other? So in the end, the answer, a possible answer, was to find different formats. And so, for example, we had an audio guide, but we also had a podcast, which was meant to be discovered by the people who are not interested in the cultural heritage, but nonetheless, they're just 50 meters away from it, and who probably are interested in legends, the sea, being in a beautiful place. And therefore, the podcast had the same content, but was meant to be discovered by non-cultural tourists. I really loved this project. The client was satisfied, and I think that we have solved a little bit of the puzzle, which is finding the right format for the right audiences after a lot of research.
Right. And do you think language, meaning storytelling style, and yes, language and the way you build up your stories in order um, to make people understand more and more about the situation and the history of the of the manufacts and the architecture of the location that you are bringing into light for them has changed recently. So my experience is that new media, as for example social media, have somehow changed the way people treat information and treat experience and
Yes.
emotion itself. Do you find it something is happening?
Yes, it has. And one thing I noticed, maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, it was that many people in the cultural sector were afraid of the fact that they noticed that the attention span was decreasing, and they were quite furious about it, and sometimes utterly destroyed by this discovery. But if you scratch below just the surface and you take the time to actually speak to people who build solutions like ourselves or the visitors, what you would find, and that was 5 years ago, is that attention was shifting focus rather than decreasing. So, for example, people were they were listening less to the point of interest of an audio guide. There's no question about that. It's absolutely true. But then they were engaging with other contents in other ways. And so perhaps if they had 2 minutes, they would employ these 2 minutes by listening to 45 seconds to an audio guide point of interest instead of 2 minutes as they would do before. And they would employ the other time doing other things, such as reading social media posts or doing something else. And we don't have to commit the mortal sin of thinking that, oh my God, the audio guide is fucked because now these 2 minutes have become 45 seconds. More so because nobody who says that 2 minutes is the right time. Personally, I never listened to points of interest, which they are very long, and I am a museum nerd. In this case, I have found that coming to terms with the shifting of attention span has forced us to think about formats, to think about language, as you said, and I am very much excited about this. And when you do negotiate with a person who decides into a cultural institution, bringing up topics like that is really useful, because if you fall into the trap of beginning to commiserate the audiences, then there is no room left for projects. You have to avoid that trap.
Right. Listen, in your job, are you applying AI technology of some sort, or how do you see applying this technology in your mission?
AI technologies, you mean?
Yes.
Well, we have been working a lot with that. AI as a technology is not the focus of Machineria, but we do work with companies that deliver. And we will be doing more so in the near future with a company called Affluent. We mainly decided to work on a couple of things. One is the context, understanding where people should use AI in museums. I see that this is not really done a lot. I've seen a project, for example, in Turin. It's not a bad project. You have a chatbot with a video avatar, which is about one of the founder of a museum. You can talk to him. It gives answers. It's quite nice. But then the point is that this happens through a video in the exhibitions room, and I've stopped for 2 hours to look at people to see what they did, and most of them were afraid of speaking to a video while other live persons were walking around. So the conversation in itself was interesting, but I think there has not been enough thought and testing about the context, the place design. We're trying to do this. We are in the midst of a work for a museum in Emilia-Romagna. It's the home where the poet Giovanni Pascoli was born. We are building a chatbot, but we will not deliver it online or in the museum itself, in the exhibition halls. There will be a place which is especially designed for a conversation with cultural leaders, because we have found that the place where you talk to machines has to be mediated by humans. Otherwise, it's too scary. Okay, so this is one area, and the other one is how to feed content to the AI. There is a lot of work which has to be done before you train these models. You have to decide what goes in and what doesn't. You have to clean these data in order to be processed. You have to fight and to listen to curators to understand why they deem something important, and correct them perhaps if it doesn't make sense from non-curatorial points of view. So in short, I see a lot of talk in AI about technical questions. There is less concern and debate about the kind of issues that I'm talking to you: place design, deciding what type of content is the best. And I think there is room and business for digital humanists, philosophers, historians who might have to talk about the issues like that.
No, I totally agree with you. Philosophy at the age of this kind of artificial intelligence culture is very needed. The capabilities of throwing question is far more relevant than having answers
Yes.
at this time. So
I
I totally agree with you. And by the way, you were talking about local institutions deciding the way they want to promote their own heritage, architecture, and location, and history, and so on. And do you think we can understand the decision-making process that they are engaging with? Meaning, which are the terms of the discovery of hidden treasures, meaning old sites, ancient sites, or small collections, art collections that are hidden? And I think this is one of the most peculiar aspects of Italy, of heritage culture of Italy, meaning how can we evolve the system, asking people to participate in the process of discovery, the treasures that we have, that most of them are hidden, in my opinion.
Yes. But one thing I've noticed is that a younger generation of curators and decision makers is finally kicking in many places in Italy. I've been working in a museum for 12 years. I was a museum in northern Italy. And 15 years ago, there was a moment where social media disrupted the landscape. It's easy to forget that, but it was in many ways a situation which is comparable to the present one in terms of scale of new ideas going on. And compared to that situation, because there is a younger generation now, I see that there is a shift towards making more relevant decisions. Let me explain. I've seen many decision makers around 2007, 2008, where Twitter and Facebook were booming, trying to deny the situation for a couple of years. And then when they finally understood that what was going on was big, was momentous, and was not going to fade away, many had a reaction which was, okay, let's use it, let's capitalize on this from a marketing point of view, which is not bad in itself. But what was bad was that they relied too much on external consultants, and they avoided to engage with the deeper meaning of social media, which was not about marketing. Of course, it was about marketing, about SEO, but it was also about having persons in the institutions who were ready and who had the tools to communicate and engage with diverse audiences. And this occasion was for some years ruined by an attitude which was too much denial on one side and marketing on the other one. Let's go back to the present. Right now, I've seen, for example, in international contexts such as Museum Next, so this kind of conferences where everybody talks about AI. I have seen a younger generation of curators which is very interested about how to use AI for collection management, for example. This is a more adult and mature attitude than 2006, 7, or 8 with social media. Many persons, many curators have understood that they now have a tool which has a huge potential for managing, discovering things in their own collections. And this is great. Imagine a museum which has thousands and thousands of items, of records. Nobody knows about them. Perhaps they have different databases which do not cooperate, because many museums have not done system integration. So there is nobody in the museum who really understands what's inside their collections. Nobody speaks about it, but that's the reality. With AI, they will finally be able to interrogate, maybe via conversational chat, their own heritage and understand things which they will later be asked to communicate to their audiences. So I have great hopes for that. AI is, in my opinion, a great tool for assessing and auditing your own collection. And there are some international examples which are popping up.
Right. Hope for a better future to to engage audiences and the younger ones in a special way. I do believe technology at this time can bring new kind of not people but also cultures to understand other cultures differently. But at the end, you today are here, Luca, as a a manager in cultural promotion and diffusion of heritage, as to say, with the proper use of technology as well. So you mentioned multimedia and interaction, and also the digital side as pretty much important, especially pretty much important in your job. But I want to discover you as a founder and as an entrepreneur as well, meaning that you pick it up your mission in such an industry, which is, I must say, not really an easy task in Italy.
No, it is.
But but this is why I admire your mission, your vision, your efforts in that. But how do you, as an entrepreneur, founder in this peculiar sector, take your own decision?
Wow, what a question. You had me prepared about this, but I'm nonetheless.
Yes, it's fair, right? It's fair. It's fair if I better to say before. Yeah, better to tell that before.
Okay, one easy answer is to collaborate with other founders, because I have other people who founded the company with me. But this is just one part of the story. I think that what you are asking me is deeper than that, and I think that the decision process in my job depends very much on the scale of the decision. I have learned while working inside the museums, which are now my clients, that time is often a very rare resource. Maybe people outside the museum sector think that museum professionals have a lot of free time. That's not the case. And scale really matters. If you don't, it's stupid to use the same processes for day-to-day smaller decisions and the big ones, right? In chess, for example, I'm a big chess. There are moments where you can apply tactics in the middle game, but then if you are concerned all the time about tactics, you might get a back rank checkmate, because you have forgotten to think about strategy, right? About the overall strategy. Okay, so I suppose that when it's about tactical decisions, which happens all the time, and they are absolutely important because they get you money too, then the decision process should be about opportunity. It should be about being rational. It should be about being with a clear mind, with easy channel of communication, not forgetting that you need other opinions about the people you work with. It should be all about that. But then when it comes to strategy, to the bigger strategies, I think it's more of an individual. There is a more individual aspect, and you have the right of disconnecting from other persons, and to remind yourself of the big whys, the big. Let me put it that way. If it's about a big decision, then you need to know if you are really consistent with the big principles that started your careers, of the dreams that you had as a child. And so if you decide that you want to break with something that you are doing, the motivation should be a big motivation. It should have something to do with your life, not with the situation you are in that moment. So if you wanted to be an independent person as a child, and then you have been trapped into an office, then at the right time, that's the reason for going away.
I understand. This is the fundamental role of ethics in decision making, meaning that
Yes.
everything must come together and everything must fit on a personal level, on a social level, or on a context, on an environment, and
That's
on
so hard,
yourself.
isn't it?
So I totally do agree with you. The ethics procedures are mainly, in my opinion, the new design approach. And I think this is a very important topic to touch with you today as a cultural entrepreneur and as a founder. And but before leaving our pleasant conversation, Luca, tell us a little bit more about your next project as Machineria.
Right. So we haven't mentioned audio production, but we work a lot with audio productions. And right now we are producing a podcast for the archaeological part of Ostia. Ostia, which sounds like a bad word in Italian, but it is also the name of a fantastic city, which was the first colony of Rome. It was the harbor of Rome. And the archaeological park there, it's absolutely stunning. It's a bit like Pompeii.
Wow.
You have it all. Roman roads, tombs, amphitheaters, and there is even a harbor which has an hexagonal shape. It was built by the Emperor Trajan 2,000 years ago. And it is all overshadowed by Rome, of course.
Yeah.
When you have a big player which is very close, then you forget about these kind of things, which would form the marvel of any other city in the world. So what we are doing is trying to help the park to visualize these kind of things on the mind map of persons. So again, it's not about going deep. In this case, it's not about telling the story of the archaeological park to people who already knew it, because very few people know it. It's about reaching audiences which have no idea that these kind of things exist. And so
Right.
we are producing a podcast which is very popular. It will be a crime story. It
Wow.
will
So
be
nice idea. Yeah, I love it. Love the idea.
lots of death, lots of violence, lots of not war, but violence, lots of dead people around the ruins. It will be a success if people discover it, not because they're looking for archaeological parks, but if they're looking for noir and crime podcasts, and they stumble about a story which incredibly has to do with beautiful things which happened there, right at the footsteps of Rome 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's like bringing back life into those ruins in that context, right? And that's so valuable to bring back under the radar of common tourists and common cultural tourism as well. So I love the idea. I won't miss an episode. You know that, Luca. I won't miss the episodes. So looking forward to listen the first episode of this project, and that's it. So thank you.
The working title is
Yeah. Yes.
Layers. I don't know if it's going to be the definitive title, but it should be Layers.
Layers sounds so intriguing to me. Very nice working title. To be one of the first listener of this new project of yours at Machineria, Luca. And so thank you so much, Luca Melchionna, founder of Machineria, today for this very, very pleasant conversation about cultural heritage and promotion of cultural heritage in Italy. And thank you so much for your vision and your job. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Luca.
Thanks to you. Goodbye, Luca.
Bye.